Hi there, I'm Michelle Cashmore, and in this video I'll be demonstrating how I created my latest drawing of a lynx in colour pencil. For this piece I used Faber Castell Polychromos, Caran D'Ache Luminance coloured pencils along with a Derwent Drawing Chinese White pencil on Fabriano Artistico Hot Press watercolour paper. I used a photo from wildlifereferencephotos.com as my reference. I will generally start with the background for two reasons. First, it's usually less interesting to me than the main subject, so I like to get it out of the way. And second, it's usually best to work from items that are furthest away to items that are closest. Here, I'm just doing a plain black background. I put down a few light layers of black pencil, along with a reddish purple colour, before blending them all out together with odourless mineral spirits. The mineral spirits dissolves the pigment in the coloured pencil and pushes it right into the paper. Any brand of OMS will work for this. I believe the one I have is Daler Rowney, but I've also heard of people using Gamsol, Mona Lisa and Zestit. I work my way around in sections, keeping a sheet of glassine paper under my hand. Glassine is perfect for keeping your hand clear of the paper. The coloured pencil doesn't stick to or smear or smudge. Tracing paper will also work reasonably well for this, but you have to be a bit more careful about avoiding smudging with it. I keep building up the colour with layers of coloured pencil and more blending with the OMS. It's important not to press hard with the pencils. If you press hard, you'll flatten out the paper and that will stop you from getting more layers on top. With lots of light layers and blending, I can get my background very dark. Before I reach the whiskers with the black pencil, I line them using a white luminance pencil. It's pretty much impossible to get back to pure white with coloured pencil after another colour has been used, so I put down the white pencil to help protect those parts. As I'm filling in these large background areas, I'm working in small circles on the paper. Along with the OMS, this also helps to ensure I fill the paper in completely and get a smooth look to my background without any lines showing. Here I'm again using the reddish violet pencil along with the black. This extra colour helps make the black look much richer than if it was just on its own. I just keep building up layers over and over again until it's as dark as I want it. The brushes I'm using to apply the OMS are rather cheap tack-on bristle brushes. They don't have to be expensive brushes. I'm using a small round brush for small areas and a larger filbert brush to cover the large areas. And now it's finally onto the lynx himself. I will often start with the eyes of a subject, but here I've started with the ears. The first thing I'm doing is getting my dark areas established and just getting the other basic layers blocked in. For fur, it's always a matter of building up layers to get the look of it right. I gradually build up more and more shadows, highlights and colour variations. It's also important to not try and add every single little hair. Fur and hair groups together, and it's those groups or clumps that I'm drawing in. I'm paying careful attention to the direction of the fur and also ensuring that there's some natural variation while keeping the general direction correct. Pay close attention to photos of animal fur and you'll see how it lies. And moving on to the eyes. One of the things that drew me to the reference photo was the beautiful colours in the eyes. I'm using various greens, browns and creams to build up the colours of the irises. I sometimes tend to skip around the areas that I'm working on. After doing a little work in the area around the eyes, I move up onto the forehead and start blocking out the dark stripes and markings. Once those are in, I can start building up the lighter areas as well. Again, I'm using lots of layers to really build up that fur texture and make it look like he has a lot of hair. However, I'm making sure to keep my pencil strokes fairly short, as the hair on his face is quite short. Too long pencil strokes and it won't look right, so that's another area to pay close attention to on your subject reference. This time I'm marking out where the lighter hairs are, as there are a lot of little pale hairs here that I don't want to lose in the darker colours. And back to under the ear again. I will also often revisit an area to make bits of it darker or adjust the colour. Sometimes it's hard to tell if everything has enough contrast when you first work in an area, but once the surrounding areas are in, it usually becomes much easier to spot where adjustments need to be made. Behind the ear, the fur becomes much redder and warmer than most other parts of the fur. Getting the right balance between light and dark, and getting the difference between them strong enough, is the most important, but colour variations also really help to make your subject realistic. Getting the exact colour right isn't as important, but if you can spot where the fur is cooler in tone or less saturated in colour, and where it's warmer or more vibrant, then that can really make a big difference. Spotting these subtle colour shifts and making them in your art is something that definitely gets much easier with practice. And here you can see that the cheek fur is a good bit cooler and more greyish than the fur behind the ear. I'm just darkening up some of these stripes and adding more texture. The fur on the cheeks is a good bit longer than on the face, so I'm making sure to make my pencil strokes a bit longer and again building up the clumps of fur. Now I'm defining the shadows on the nose and around the face. I previously marked out the whiskers in white pencil. In order to keep those as white as I can, I'm also carefully working around them when doing the fur on the chin. While the Lynx has white patches of fur, very little of this piece is actually white. Most of the white fur has shades of grey, brown or even pale purple in it. Only the whiskers are actually pure white. Here, the fur on his nose and muzzle is so short that I'm only making tiny little dash marks with the pencils. Now that his face is just about complete, I'm jumping around and touching up details or making little adjustments here and there. And onto his back. I'm once again marking in the lighter and darker areas first before blocking in the rest of the fur. Doing this in sections also helps me to keep my place, as it can be quite easy to get lost in large areas of fur. Zooming out so you can see a bit better. Here the Lynx has a darker reddish stripe down his back, so I'm just blocking in the base colours for that. His shoulder and leg in the background is pretty dark and a lot more greyish than his back. I'm also making sure that it's blocked in before going on to add more layers and build up the fur detail. And that is it. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you would like to see more of my videos, then please do subscribe. You can also find me at my website at michellecashmoreart.com and also on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for watching.